we have a very special moment coming up. We want to stop now and have silence, have a moment's silence for all those who have been killed in this war, who have been wounded in this war, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, our own soldiers, our own troops, our own families. We want to take a minute to reflect, to be as silent as you know how. Be totally, absolutely silent. And when we finish this moment of silence, while we think of all of those who are tortured, who still carry the wounds of war forever, reflect on that. And at the end of that moment of silence, I want you to keep your silence, because we're going to have a very special song in commemoration of all those who have died, who have been tortured, who are wounded, who will never be the same again. So retain your silence throughout this song that follows this moment of reflection. Please, we want to be able to hear a pin drop. That means not one single voice anywhere. A moment of silence. Think about them. Continue your silence while we honor them with this beautiful and very moving song from Tom English. Thank you, Tom, for doing this for us.
When I was a young lad, I carried me pack, and I lived a free life of a rover, from the Murray's green banks to the dusty outback. Well, I waltzed my Matilda all over. And in 1915 my country said, son, time to stop rambling, there's work to be done. And they gave me a tin hat, they gave me a gun, and they marched me away to the war. And the band played Waltzing Matilda as the ship sailed away from the quay. Amid the songs and the cheers, the flag waving and tears, we sailed off to Gallipoli. 'Tis well I remember that terrible day, our blood stained the sand and the water, and how in that hell that we call Suvla Bay, we were butchered like lambs at the slaughter. The big Turkish shell caught me ass overhead, and when I woke up in my hospital bed and I saw what it did, well, I wished I was dead. Never knew there was worse things than dying. For I'll go no more waltzing Matilda all along the green lands, running free. For to hunt and to pace a man needs both legs. No more waltzing Matilda for me. They gathered the wounded, the crippled, the maimed, and they shipped us back home to Australia. The armless, the legless, the blind, the insane, us proud wounded heroes of Suvla. And as the boat sailed into Circular Quay, I looked at the place where my legs used to be and thanked Christ was waiting for me to mourn and to grieve and to pity. And the band played Waltzing Matilda as they wheeled us down the gangway, and nobody cheered. They just stood and stared, and they all turned their faces away. And the band still plays Waltzing Matilda, and the young men still answer the call. But as year follows year, more young men see things clear. Someday no one will march here at all.
Tom English, everyone. Another applaud. Beautiful. Thank you for your silence, your meditation, and your care. Thank you.
Thank you once again. How's everybody feeling out there now, huh? I can't hear you that well. Yeah. So all of you beautiful volunteers who come here to help us here today, can you please go backstage now? We have assignments. Thank you. All volunteers, please go backstage now. And
how's everybody doing? Give it up for yourselves. Let's hear it. You know, it's hard to believe that it's been 5 years since the invasion and occupation of Iraq began. An occupation that has been a total nightmare for the people of Iraq. 5 years with no end in sight if we let the Democrats and Republicans have it their way. But we are here today to let them know that we demand a complete and long overdue pullout of their war machine now. Nearly 4,000 U.S. soldiers have died, while another 30,000 have been disabled and wounded. And that does not even include the thousands others that have been psychologically scarred for the rest of their lives. And what do these veterans have to face when the welcome home parade is over? Massive unemployment and lack of medical care. It's hard to get a job nowadays when all you know is how to shoot an M16 and kick down doors. The reality for the people of Iraq is, of course, much more grim. Iraqis have to wake up every morning to an occupying army that has stripped them of their sovereignty and their right to self-determination. Over 1 million Iraqis have died, while 2 million others have been displaced, plus 2.5 more million are now considered refugees. On top of all that, Iraq's infrastructure has been destroyed by our war machine. Well, not ours, but the government's. The majority of Iraqis lack the essentials like adequate water, food, electricity, shelter, medical care, schools, and so on. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama don't talk about the war anymore, an issue that they found convenient to use for their at one point. They have their economy as their centerpiece and their propaganda now. Yet they don't mention that this war has cost over $500 billion. That's right! Which most of it comes from our pockets because we're the ones that pay the taxes. Yeah. The war profiteers, meanwhile, have fattened their pockets while working class people like ourselves have been left behind. The government has slashed billions from education, healthcare, housing, and job training programs. And yet they have no explanation for the recession that they have dug us into. I stand here not just as a veteran or an answer activist, but most importantly as a human being who opposes all acts of aggression and conquest. That same spirit which drives us an answer to stand in solidarity with the people of Cuba and their revolution, with the people of Venezuela and their